Welcome to Her Money Revolution. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, your guide on this journey to becoming a wealthy woman. As a certified financial planner, owner, and advisor at Family Capital Management, I'm on a mission to simplify the conversation around investing and to help women generate more wealth by making their money work for them. Join me as we navigate powerful financial planning strategies to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. This podcast is your go-to destination for no fluff, easy to implement financial and investing advice. If you are ready to achieve audacious financial goals, dream beyond boundaries, and generate massive wealth for you and your family, this podcast is for you. Grab a notebook. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back to Her Money Revolution, the podcast where we empower women to grow their wealth by making their money work for them. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, and today I am digging into what it actually takes to be mentally strong. Not just in theory, not in a quote that you screenshot and then forget about later. I know I am guilty of that, but in the real life. In real life, day to day, when things feel uncertain, when money feels tight, and when life doesn't quite look the way that you thought it would. Because let's be honest, a lot of us are navigating that right now. I was recently listening to a TED Talk. It was amazing. I could put it in the show notes here, but it was by Amy Morin, and she talked about mental strength in a way that really, really stuck with me. That is something that you either have or don't have, but as something that you build in the small, everyday decisions. I've said this for many, many years, that every decision is big, right? Because your life is a sum of all of those decisions that you make. So make wise ones. But what Amy was talking about, it really got me thinking, what does that actually look like for us? As women, as moms, happy Mother's Day, belated, by the way, for all the moms listening. I hope you were spoiled and loved. But as business owners, as people trying to build wealth or build a life that you're designing, and then also hold it all together at the same time. It's tough, right? It's challenging. Mental strength isn't built in the big, perfect moments. It's not. It's built when you keep going, even when you feel behind, especially if you do that comparison thing. You know, look at me, look at her. I wish I was there, but I'm not. It's built when you make a financial decision that you're not 100% confident in, but you move forward anyway. I tell my kids all the time, like, that's how you are brave, right? When you do things that are scary, when you show up scared and you just keep moving forward. It's built when you choose not to spiral, even though you could probably very easily spiral, but you keep showing up. So today I want to talk about what mental strength really looks like in this season of life. And more importantly, how you can build it and how you can maintain it. We're going to walk through 3 different categories here. Number 1, why so many women feel burned out right now and what is actually driving that burnout. Number 2, how to take a step back and do a real life audit of where your time and your energy and your money are going. And then number 3, the small practical shifts that you can make when you feel stuck or when you're feeling in that overwhelm, and things that you can do to actually practice. So when life happens, you can go into autopilot and just make these practical shifts. They become easy for you. So here's the thing. You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do have to keep showing up. And that's what we're diving into today. Mental strength is not about becoming emotionless. It's not about becoming perfect or endlessly productive. Mental strength is about learning how to stay grounded. Mental strength is about being intentional and aligned, even when life feels heavy and uncertain or overwhelming, maybe just straight up scary. And because Her Money Revolution is about financial well-being, we're not just talking about mindset in isolation. We're talking about the connection between your emotional health and your decisions and your energy and your habits and how that impacts your money and your financial situation today and long term. So today, let's go ahead and dive in to those 3 topics that so many women, I believe, are struggling with right now. And maybe you feel alone and you're struggling quietly. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's dive in. Number one, with so many women feel burned out right now. I don't think most women are burned out simply because they're too busy. I think women are exhausted because they're carrying so much, right? Maybe it's not their busy calendars, but it's the burden of what they're having to carry, the emotional responsibility, the financial pressure, decision fatigue. That's a big one in my home. My husband's a CEO of a company and I'm running a business, and we get home and we don't want to make decisions. Like, I don't know. Somebody else make this choice for me. Women are exhausted because we're carrying that mental overload. Maybe we're carrying unrealistic expectations, and this is all happening all at the same time, right? So when your spouse looks at you and says, "Hey, what do you want for dinner?" It's not like you're in a fight about what to have for dinner. You're emotionally exhausted. You're like, "I don't know, you pick." Wait, we're not arguing about dinner. We're exhausted. So there's layers and layers and layers of things that we could be arguing about. A lot of women today, I think women that my circles and myself included, we're trying to build careers. We're raising children. Maybe you're supporting aging parents. Maybe you're maintaining a marriage. Hopefully, you're trying to thrive in your marriage, not just maintain. Women are trying to grow financially. We're trying to stay healthy. We're trying to be physically strong. That's a goal of mine. I love muscles. So proud of my commitment to my Faster Way. There's a plug for my ladies in my Faster Way group. We're trying to build better relationships with our friends. We want to show up for our friends. We got to keep the house running. I think right now I actually have to go switch my laundry. And somehow we still need to look fine, right? We need to be okay while doing it all. But underneath all of that, there's often this quiet pressure that says, I should be handling this better. I should have said something differently. I wish I would have handled that situation better. But here's what I want you to hear. Feeling overwhelmed does not mean that you are weak. Sometimes it means that your life has become misaligned with your capacity. And it doesn't mean that you can't do it all, but maybe in the season you can't do it all in this season. And then when we look at our finances financially, burnout creates real life consequences. We start making choices that are not financially wise. Because when you're exhausted, we avoid looking at our numbers. We cancel our plan with our financial advisor. We impulse spend for relief, right? I don't like shopping, so I can't relate with this, but isn't that like, hey, if you're not feeling good, let's go grab a glass of wine and go shopping? Well, that's not wise. When we start feeling exhausted, we stop planning. We stop looking at our calendars and making sure we have things together. We start procrastinating. Maybe even we emotionally check out. You're just on autopilot. And when you're exhausted, we don't operate in the best versions of ourselves. Maybe you're operating in survival mode, right? Instead of that long-term vision of life. And that's why mental strength matters financially, because wealth is not just built through knowledge. It's built through consistent behaviors, emotional resilience, and the ability to make wise decisions even during stressful seasons. I have a real great friend. She just found out her husband is having an affair. It's heartbreaking. She's heartbroken, and she's in the grieving process. But some of the things that she keeps saying, and she's not wrong, but she keeps saying, I don't care anymore. I'm going to go on that vacation that I wanted to go. I'm going to go buy the dress that I wanted to buy. I'm going to get my nails done. I used to save my money and it was about me and the family, or the kids and the family, but not anymore. I'm going to focus on me. This is very new for her, but this could easily spiral, right? Not only now are you dealing with a marriage that is not what you thought it was, but if you start making really poor financial choices and spending money that you don't have, you're going to have a whole nother issue on your hands. So if you've been feeling tired or disconnected, reactive, emotionally drained, maybe financially unmotivated lately, I want you to know that you are not alone. But I also want you to know this. Burnout is not a place that you were meant to permanently live in, okay? If you're in it, that's okay. Keep going through it. So number 2, how to take a step back and do a real life audit of your time and your energy and your money. I believe that this is one of the strongest things that you can do And that's to pause long enough to tell yourself the truth. If you know me, one of the things I really try hard to pride myself in is know yourself. Know yourself. Understand what triggers you. Understand your responses. And if you don't pause long enough to tell yourself the truth, you don't know yourself, right? And I say this not to shame yourself, not to judge yourself. Just honestly assess your life. If you think about it, you cannot change what you refuse to examine, right? If you're not looking at your life, it's not going to change. So this is where I think that women need to stop asking, like, how do I do more? How do I do better? And we need to start asking, what is draining me? What is no longer aligned? Where is my energy actually going? What is my money supporting? Am I building a life I actually want, or am I just surviving one? And I call this process doing a life audit. And honestly, this can be more powerful than your spending plan and your love dates with your spouse. You need to know where you are. There's that saying of like, hey, you're trying to get directions to go somewhere. And the person says, well, where are you right now? If you don't know where you are right now, I don't know how to tell you where to go, right? Like, do you go south or do you go north? You go east or west? If you don't know where your current location is, how do you know how to get the right directions to get to the right place, right? So look at this as the same today. My life audit, you get to figure out where you are today. So here are a few categories that you can do. A time audit. For a time audit, ask yourself, what consumes most of my day? What constantly makes me feel rushed? What am I saying yes to out of guilt? What would my schedule reveal about my priorities? Forget who I stole that one from, but I was at a conference and he's like, hey, look, you tell me these are your values, family, kids, whatever it was. Look at your calendar. Do you see family in here at all? It was very like, oh, yeah, no, I see client meetings and I see my doctor appointment, but I didn't see a date with my husband or a date with my kids. Your schedule will really reveal your priorities. Because sometimes we say, like I just said, family, health, faith, peace, that matters most. But then you look at your calendar and your calendar says, wow, stress, chaos, overcommitment, those are actually in charge, right? Then I want you to do an energy audit. Not everything that drains you is physical. Some of the things that drain you, and maybe often, like I think about the story that I told about my daughter, it's emotional, and that's draining. It's unresolved conflict or people pleasing or comparison. Your energy can be drained by the clutter in your home or lack of boundaries, right? Financially, the financial anxiety, carrying responsibilities that no one else sees. Those are life-sucking energy drainers. Mental strength includes protecting that energy, not just managing your time, right? So when you do an audit and you think about things that's like, hey, do I have lack of boundaries? Okay, so then start practicing responses, right? Like if somebody does this, how can I practice a better response? Let's do a money audit. This one is huge. Obviously, this is her money revolution. And so spend time doing a money audit. Look honestly at where your money is going, what habits are emotionally driven rather than practical, healthy money choices, right? You're an emotional spender. Are you an emotional spender or lack of spender? The opposite side of that as well. You might be so emotionally fearful that you're going to run out, so you just don't spend anything. That's not good either. But maybe you should go through your subscriptions. Do we need all of them? Look at your recent purchases or commitments that no longer serve you. Do an audit on that, whether your spending is truly aligned with your values or not. Money is deeply connected to emotion. Money touches everything. Sometimes spending is that stress relief or avoidance or coping or maybe your identity. That might hurt your pride. But if you put your identity in your job or you put your identity in the fancy car that you drive or the diamond ring on your finger, that could be a problem, right? Sometimes spending is trying to reward ourselves for surviving hard seasons. And I say this with compassion, truly. There's no judgment here. Financial awareness is not about restriction. It's about alignment. It's one of the biggest things for me as a wealth advisor. I have clients who are like, I know you want me to just keep saving more because you make more money. No, actually, that's not what I want at all. I want to find that harmony in life where you spend today and enjoy your life today and make wise decisions for your future self. But my goal isn't that you have millions of dollars in your portfolio by the time you're age 100. No, I want you to enjoy life, give while you can, take that trip, find that harmony, and being able to, reward yourself, but in reason, right? Not by, I'm going to go in debt, but I want to do this anyway. No. So when you slow down long enough to honestly audit your life, you stop reacting emotionally to everything happening around you, and you start to really start leading your life with intention again. So grab your calendar. Speaking of calendar, if you can, actually do this right now. Unless you're driving, grab your calendar. Find a 2-hour window where you can be alone. And in that 2-hour window, go to a coffee shop or a park or somewhere quiet, bring a journal, and reflect. And go back to these notes, episode notes, and start reflecting and answering some of these questions. Audit your time, audit your energy and your finances, in your relationships and your habits, and maybe recent situations that happened. And hey, how did I respond? Okay, was that a good response or a bad response? Why did I respond poorly in that situation? What could I have done differently? Do this audit. And if you can't find a 2-hour window, if you're saying, Angela, girl, I wish I could, but I am hour to hour managing at work, and then I have to get my kids, and I have to do this and that. I get it. Trust me. So do I. I work out. I have all my life things too, that I'm such a personality. I got my check boxes and I got all my things that I want to do. I understand. But if you can't take 2 hours out of your day, not every day, out of the next couple of months, obviously there's a bigger issue here, right? If you can't find 2-hour window where you can reflect for yourself and not going to get your nails done and not shopping, but being alone and really doing this audit. Maybe if that's you, then just call me or send me a DM. I'd like to talk with you. All right, back on track though, because when you do this, when you get this clarity, here's why it's so important to do this audit. Because clarity does not come in the middle of chaos, in the middle of rushing from one thing to the next. And that's not when you're going to find clarity. It comes when you finally give yourself space to think. And when you have a pen in your hand and paper and stuff just starts happening. And I'll say this as a wealth advisor, I have clients who have absolutely no margin in their lives. They can't even schedule time to meet with me because every second of their calendar is consumed. And that, my friends, is a major red flag for one of my pet peeves. Like, I get it. Yeah, we all have those. I'm a little strict with my boundaries as well. No, I can't meet you on a Saturday. No, I can't meet you at 7:30 p.m. Take some time off of work. Sorry if I'm not being compassionate there, but if you can't take this time, that's a really big red flag that you're headed to burnout. Because when you have no margin, you lose your ability to think clearly. You lose your ability to make intentional decisions. You lose your ability to rest and to dream and to create and to even respond well to challenges that happen. And challenges happen probably every day, right? You end up living in a constant reaction mode instead of leading with your life proactively. I studied the behavioral finance. There's so much behavior that can be shifted when you take time and you're intentional on practicing better responses and building margin. And margin is not laziness. Margin is wisdom. It's breathing room for your mind and your relationships and your finances and your future. I'm going to move on from this topic. I really do feel passionately about this. Number 3, the small practical shifts that you can make when you feel stuck, when you feel overwhelmed, or maybe you just feel off. You can't pinpoint it. And I think sometimes that we believe that transformation has to be dramatic, a big life event or something that's very, very tangible. But most lasting change doesn't happen that way, right? It happens through the small decisions that are repeated constantly. It's the slight edge. There's a book on that. Mental strength is built quietly. It looks like opening your bank account even when you're anxious. It looks like making that appointment, the one that you've been avoiding, maybe with your financial advisor, maybe with your doctor. Mental strength built quietly looks like saying no without having to over-explain yourself. No, thank you, period. That's all you need to say. It looks like asking for help. Mental strength built quietly looks like taking a walk instead of spiraling out of control. It looks like creating a plan instead of chaos. Looks like resting without guilt. It's okay to sleep in on a Saturday afternoon once in a while. It looks like choosing progress over perfection. And financially, these same small shifts matter more than the big emotional extremes, because sustainable wealth is usually built through those consistencies in discipline, in awareness, and patience, and aligned behaviors, not intensity. It's like going to the gym, that January, the gym's completely full and everybody's got new goals and they're intense. And then what happens in February? March, the gym's empty again. Like, no. Let's not do it that way. That's just like, no, that doesn't sustainable. So here are a few practical resets. For financial reset, review your accounts this week. Cancel one unnecessary expense. I can't guarantee much, but I can guarantee that you have one unnecessary expense. Not two, I'm just saying one. One expense that you don't need, cancel it. Automate one savings goal. Maybe you're putting $25 into your Roth IRA. You know what? Automate it, or automate it and increase it. Make it $50 a month. Maybe just $30 a month. Bump it up a little bit. That's an awesome financial reset. And then set one realistic financial goal for the next 90 days. Write that goal down. Not 10 goals, just one. And then look at it every day for the next 90 days. See what happens. For a mental reset, maybe you need to reduce the noise. Maybe you need to spend less time consuming social media, podcasts like this one maybe, television, whatever it is that you spend time consuming, and spend more time in true reflection. Journal, pray, sit for silence for 10 minutes. Stop absorbing everyone else's urgency, right? I told my son the other day, hey, your lack of preparation is now my urgency. That's on you, bro. You don't need to carry every emotional burden around you. It's exhausting. Maybe do a lifestyle reset. Ask yourself, what would make my life feel lighter right now? What would bring a true smile to my face? What needs simplifying? Maybe what boundaries need to be set? What expectations need to be released? That one for me is big. I have high expectations for myself to be the best version of myself every day. And sometimes I have that same expectation for everyone around me. It could be hard for them, right? I'm learning that, or I've known that. Actually, I've known that for years. I have an advisor, and she told me, 15 years ago now maybe, Angela, just because you want to be the best version of yourself doesn't mean that everybody else wants to. And you have to be okay with that. I'm like, oh, really? But sometimes the strongest thing we can do as female is say, I cannot do everything the way that I've been doing it. Something has to change. And that doesn't mean that you've failed. It doesn't mean that it has to stay that way forever. It means that you're being mindful of the season that you're in. And that is wisdom. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, I hope today you're reminded that your mental strength is not about pushing harder until you break. I know my word this year is push, and it's still push, but not so hard that you break. It's about becoming more intentional. Mental strength is about being honest, and more aligned. And here's what I know to be true. When we strengthen our mind, we change the way we lead. When women come together, we change the impact that we make on others. We change how we spend and how we save and how we invest. We change how we communicate. And all of those things will change your life. And that is a real revolution, not just building more money. That's not what my goal is in this podcast, or even as a wealth advisor, is to make women richer, more rich. Now, not simply just that, right? But building a life that actually feels healthy and meaningful and sustainable while you build wealth. Thank you so much for being here. and for doing this incredible work for yourself and for your loved ones, and for choosing to build a life and a legacy that you are designing and that one that you truly, truly love. Until next time, keep building, keep believing, keep pushing, and keep blessing others. I'll see you next time on Her Money Revolution.
Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you are feeling more empowered in your financial journey. Remember, follow and subscribe to Her Money Revolution on your favorite podcast platform, and share your feedback by leaving a review. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from today's episode. Until next time, stay inspired.